n'elu anya na ife dị iche iche bụ nke nwetazi site na mgbamọ mbọ na anya bụ ụlọ ọrụ ministri n'afọ maka ewumewu ụlọ nakwaza ma ọrụ ndị ọzọ dịgasị iche iche nke ọchịchị Soludo. Mụ mbụ Onyekachukwu Ugochukwu.
And I am Priska Wankwo, and this is how we welcome you to Ask the Commissioner, which comes your way at this time every Thursday at 1 p.m. Today on Ask the Commissioner, our spotlight is on the Ministry of Housing, achievements of the Ministry of Housing and the legacy housing projects of the Soludo administration. It's our privilege to welcome to the studio the Honorable Commissioner for Housing, Mr. Paulie Onyeka, to the program Ask the Commissioner. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, viewers.
Ọ dị mma anyị na-anabatakwazi onye nke nwenye bụ ihe mmemme n'onwe ya bụ High Chief Dr. Lomefo PhD, onye nwa bụ kọmishọna na-afụ maka ozi na Anambra steeti. A na-asị gị nnọọ n'ụzọ pụrụ iche.
Ya daalụ, ndebe anyị ekene m unu mana n'ọdụ ka esi agba ife dị m nkịta mma n'obi. Ọkụ ya? Ile mba anụ, ọnọdụ na-akpọ nke n'ọnụ, ọkụ ya?
Oh yes.
Ọ ya adịla na anyị mma, tata ya maala anyị mma, unu fụ na Anambra ajụbago oyi.
Ọ dị mma, anyị ga-amalite ajụjụ anyị maka na asị na atatụ aka atatụ ụkwa ndụ wee bulukpo, so na ife mmemme anụnwa a na-ajụ n'oyibo a na-ajụkwa n'Igbo ka ndị Anambra wee nwee ike wee sonye na ife ndị nke a na-eme. Onye ka m ji wee chọọ ịmalite ajụjụ anụnwa n'ebe Mr. Paulie Onyeka nọ, kọmishọna na-afụ maka ewumewu nọ na Anambra steeti. So achọrọ m ka m mata ife nkega unu na-afụ maka ewumewu ụlọ ji wee dị oke mkpa na ọkachasị na bụ ebumnobi iweta mmepe tọrọ atọ n'ime steeti abụ Anambra na ọchịchị solution gọvanọ.
Na mbụ ejo n'Igbo, ama m na this program bụ
Igbo and English.
Onye chọọ
Oge o si dị.
Ahụ nwa afọ nwụrụ nke asụsụ Igbo sịkwa ma inu dị na ebe niile na agbalị.
Okay.
Mana n'ikwu nke bụ eziokwu, the ministry n'afọ maka ewumewu nọ, Ministry of Housing,
Yes.
bụ ministry dị nnọọ nnukwu oke mkpa nyelụ administration. Ọkụ ministry na-adị oke mkpa nyelụ administration ọbụla ghọtawo ije, ghọtala ebe a na-eje. Maka na dịka ndị oyibo si ekwu, it has some natural inclination. Ịma na a na-ekwu okwu na ụzọ ife na-atọ ọkachukwu na kelụ mmadụ si na ọkacha dị mkpa. Nke mbụ bụ ife ị ga-eri eri, nke ịbụọ bụ afọ ị ga-eyi n'arụ, nke ịtọ bụ ebe ị ga-ekpo onye isi gị adịka ebe ibi ebi. So site n'ebe ahụ ka ị ga-esi nwa ka mkpa ọ dịdị na ọ dịrị mkpa n'ebe Chukwu nna nọ wee dịkwazie mkpa n'ebe mmadụ nọ. Administration a wee bịa wee tinye nnukwu uchu na wee kwuo na ife ọbụla gbasalụ ya bụ ewumewu nọ na fa ga-agba mbọ fụ na ọ gara n'iru. When Mr. Governor came on board, even writing his manifesto, we have what we talk about the mantra, the livable and prosperous smart mega city. And when you talk about that, you want to narrow it down. He said that's where we will live, work, learn, relax, and entertain ourselves. So it's not just for the sake of, having buildings. But the key aspect there is livability. Livability. What are the buildings we're going to have? What are they going to look like? How do we strategize and see to the proper resilience to the kind of offshoots we are getting in urban cities and things like that? So those are the things if we continue now, you understand that we have touched so many areas, to make sure that ndị Anambra nwere aṅụrị. And that is the essence of having this as a priority ministry in terms of the take-offs by this administration. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Commissioner, we'd like to know the specific strategies and policies that the government have implemented to address the housing challenges that are faced by residents in the state, especially in the capital city.
You see, when you talk about strategies and policies, you don't just talk about maybe strategies to up the number of buildings. But because of what this administration is all about, quality, we're also looking at those strategies that will, key into the qualities of what we are doing. And that is why, let me even start with those of the qualities. That is why you see we have what we call, before we call it a new housing policy. Today, those new housing policies are now incorporated into the environmental law that has been signed into law by Mr. Governor recently. And those are the things like, you don't just build for building's sake. You must have at least build only in 65% of the total land space you have for your building. Then the remaining 35% will be for green veg, for the parking of your cars, for trees, ornamental trees and economical trees, and even for where you also put your catchment pit, because that catchment pit on its own is another part of the policy that is very important. Because Anambra State, in terms of the largeness of land, we are the smallest, second to Lagos in smallness, and if you say we're second to Lagos in smallness in terms of our land space, you find out that every day Lagos is growing more and more, because it's trying to expand its shores, doing some filling of ocean shores and then getting larger. Whereas Anambra State is getting shrink because of erosion and other, environmental degradations. So that is the issue. So because of that, we want to be controlling the major thing that normally causes this problem of erosion. That is the water that runs from various homes into the roads, destroying farmlands, destroying roads and everything. And the only way to do that is to control it from every house, that when you build, you put your catchment pit inside. So that is part of it. And again is that people don't understand the importance of trees in homes. So when we talk about livability, I'm talking about the quality of what we're talking, the building we're talking about now. That is not just only the number. The quality is important. So when you put those trees, what it helps is for you to get enough oxygen. Have you ever asked yourself for the first time, why is it that when you see people that live in the towns where you don't have trees, when they wake up in the morning, most of them will be suffering from muscle pains, joint pains, and always not. It's because of lack of sufficient oxygen. But if you get to the villages where you have a lot of trees, they don't suffer from such. When they wake up in the morning, they will be smiling. They will be very healthy and things like that. So that is on that. That's on that aspect. And then for me, in terms of the size of what we are doing, we have actually thought out very many ways of increasing the number of houses we have in the state. Number one is by PPP arrangement, which I will come into later. Then number two is also by, if you talk about mass housing, we talk about making use of financial mortgaging to improve on the number of houses we have in the state. So that is on the strategy you asked about.
Okay.
Ọ dị mma, achọrọ m dịka ịnyegọla anyị nkọwa banyere etu nsi egbo iche aka mgba ndị mmadụ na-agabiga kachasị ndị nke bi n'ime steeti a n'ebe o metara ewumewu ụlọ. Achọrọ m ka m mara m ngo ife dịka ebe etu gọọmenti si wee jikọta aka fa na ndị ọnụrụ n'okwu local stakeholders n'ime obodo iji wee fụ na enyere ndị Anambra ndị bi n'ime steeti a nyabụ ụlọ dị ana bụ nke fa ga na-akwụ ụgwọ ya biri n'ime steeti a.
When you talk about local stakeholders, it actually gladdened my heart because when we do things in the state today, we always talk about stakeholders engagement. Anything you're doing without stakeholders engagement is just like you go 1,000 miles, you now come back to square one. Okay. And that is why it's very necessary and very key too, that whatever you do with them. Okay, like I mentioned PPP arrangement before, under PPP arrangement, we strategize that when somebody, a company for that matter, decides to come into real estate business to help to expand the number of houses we have in the state, first of all, they make a first point of call to the Ministry of Housing. And right from there, we look at their proposals, see whether they're actually up to what they say they are by our investigations. By the time we find out that they are really the people to go with, we now write to ANSIPA, the Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency, one-stop shop for investment in the state, which is very, very important. And then there, every other thing would take place. And tendering everything. At the end of the day, from what they propose and every condition given to them, if it's suitable to them, they'll be in. If it's not suitable to them, they will be out. And that is how we had 2 years ago, we empowered in the state 5 very powerful real estate developing companies. You know, one of them is Gulf Estate. And they are there in Anambra today doing a lot of good things to make sure that the number of houses we have in the state we increase so that the housing deficit, as far as Anambra State is concerned, will be getting reduced day by day. So that is the point there. And then apart from that one, we also deal with, organized public sector. That's when you talk about the REDAN, the Real Estate Development Association, and then we have that of Anambra State chapter, which actually I had played a key role to see that it will come to stand as of today. So we are, having a lot of synergistic approaches towards one another. That's when I mean we. I'm talking about my ministry, housing, and that particular association. So today, a lot of things are coming up. We are having interface with their group in Abuja, including the Ministry of Housing in Abuja. Even in the workshop we had recently with the Minister for Housing, a lot of things were put in place, and those will become very beneficial to our people within a very short time. So we are working.
Okay, so next week, Monday, the 17th of March, would be the 3rd anniversary of the Soludo administration. Could you highlight some of the key achievements and improvements in the housing sector under Professor Soludo in the past 3 years, as the anniversary kickstarts on Monday, the 17th?
You see that I'm already smiling.
You
see, if you ask this question for any Anambra, it's just like trying to ask something that is very obvious. But I'll answer it. for the benefit of those that are.
That is
yes,
not obvious to
that-
that turning blind eye.
You see, okay, let me start by the James-breaking project of the state. You see, Mr. Governor, I've come to know over 35 years now, is somebody that likes to go into things that are very difficult. Very, very difficult things. Once you see that something is difficult and others are running away, that is when he will want to go into it, because he's always a solution solver. Right from the moment I came to know him, he's a solution solver. So that's why he came. The government house and lodge that we're supposed to have had over years since the creation of Anambra 34 years over ago, and we didn't have, but he came and said, no, I must dive into this. Every other governor will come and run away, but for me, I will not run. I'll see to it. And today we have a brand new government house and lodge, and not that it's just brand new. It's a government house and lodge that every Anambra that tries to pass through there will always beat his chest or her chest and say, yes, we have arrived. Now we can, within the Committee of States, stand tall and say Anambra is where to be. Because are we talking about the size? Are we talking about, the number of, building infrastructure that is in therein? Or are we talking about the characters of those buildings? Like we even have amphitheater there that can accommodate at least 1,250 people at a time. And when you get into it, the first thing you will begin to think about is that, no, this is what somebody with good wisdom has actually thought through, and now it has come to pass. You go to the banquet hall, at least 800 people, that's the capacity. You now go to the ancillary buildings. I've not mentioned the major ones. That is the governor's office, the secretariat, to be manned by the SHG, the deputy governor's office. These are, that is quite wonderful edifice, or each one. So that's the point. Then we get to the governor's lodge. Even at the back of the governor's lodge, only the orchard you have at the back of the lodge is something that can orchestrate even carbon credit for the state. So it's phenomenal. It's something that sometimes I will be wondering, asking myself, how do we start this? Because when we are starting that 2022, around July 2020, one wouldn't believe that it will turn out to be this good in terms of the way it is when it has been finished now. So within a short while, a matter of weeks, Anambra will now herald itself into the new government house and lodge, and that is where we are now. That's on that. And like I said, there are other 23 buildings there. It's not just government. We have a fire service center, we have a clinic, we have a sports center, we have so many things, But that's a story for another day, Now, coming from there, Mr. Governor also decided that I'm talking about the public building infrastructure now, because if you talk about the achievement, our achievement is in two forms. We'll talk about the public, we'll talk about the private. Okay? Now, under the public too, before we came, if you get to the commissioner's quarters, you will see that one commissioner will be in one rickety building that is being housed on 3,000 square meters of land. And Mr. Governor looked at it and said, no, for you to deliver good service, you must have to live in a conducive place. One. And again, he brought in what we call land economy into the whole show. I hope I'm, into the whole show, land economy. So that place you have one person living is now subdivided into 3. And each place will now accommodate 3 commissioners. Each one now with a duplex, a fine duplex. So that's the kind of the job we've come to do in the state, and many of them are coming up. Then, talking about the social agenda, schools, go to Bomeri, primary school, go to the urban boys, go to the urban secondary school, there are so many of them, adult girls, there are so many of them. What's going on everywhere? Then even the nursing school at School of Technology at Mbo, everything is everywhere. Then you talk about hospitals, starting from the general hospitals, 325 of them were renovated, taking care of facilities being put in place. And it didn't even stop there. A new technology, the Commissioner for Education, Commissioner for Health, is the one that keyed that in. That is what we call telemedicine. That is, you can be in your primary health center and access the services of a doctor even abroad. It's so phenomenal, so wonderful. You understand? And as we're talking about that, it is in his manifesto that at least there will be 3 general hospitals that will be upgraded into referral centers. And that we did. Immediately we came in. We chose Ekurobe General Hospital in the south, senatorial zone, Umueri in the north, and Enugu in the central. Today they are running, haven't been upgraded. They are now referral centers. So people having patients in other hospitals that they can take care of effectively and efficiently can always refer them to those other big general hospitals to attend to. So that is it. And then we have new ones at Okpoko, at Fege, at Anako, at Enugu, at Nzam, and so on and so forth. All these things, general hospitals have been completed. The only few that have not been completed, we have at 85 and 90% completion. So that is the kind of what we are doing in the ministry. It's so massive, And coming from there, the governor is a multi-sectorial developer. He doesn't look at only one side and forgetting another. So it occurred to him that yes, our House of Assembly is an arm of government. And when you get there, by the time we got in, if you enter the House of Assembly, what you will notice is that it's just like it's not a place that's supposed to inhabit members of the House of Assembly. So what we did immediately was to give it a facelift. Lot 1, Lot 2 awarded, and we upgraded those building infrastructures you have in the House of Assembly. That if you get there today, you know that yes, this is where all these good laws are coming from. Quite befitting. We didn't even stop at building infrastructure. By the time we finished with building infrastructure, Mr. Governor said no. The road infrastructure and that of the fencing, everything that has to come in place. That all of them have to come in place. And then we put all of them in place. That is why if you go there today, you will love what you see. And you can always be happy that you are on Anambra, so to say. And we didn't stop there. We get into judiciary. Today, let me even say this, that for the past 6 years, Anambra State has not been able to access its own judges because of lack of judges' quarters, so to say. But as we talk now, processes are going on for Anambra State to have new set of judges because we have put in place a good number of, units there at Onitsha under the judges' quarters, which will become useful in the next few weeks. So this is the kind of what we are doing. We engage in well, thought out projects, because Mr. Governor does not engage in any project for the sake of doing that project. He engages in them as a result of reason, that there is good reason for those projects to come up. I don't want to bore you with so many other things we are doing. Is there a QMS here? Do I need to mention that? Everybody passes there, and see what has been going on, and so many others. So for now, if I want to just touch briefly on the public aspect, the private aspect of, our engagement, what I will tell you is this. I've really mentioned them, our PPP arrangement, our, collaboration with Redan, but most importantly, I want you to note is that no government in any part of the world do construct for individuals. It has never happened that any government will start building houses for private individuals to live. It doesn't happen anywhere. What government does is to provide an enabling environment. So government will provide enablers. What are these enablers? Here we talk about the roads. We talk about the street lights. We talk about water. We talk about all those things. And that's exactly what Mr. Governor has momentarily and, in fact, no, do I say momentarily, has provided in the kind of numbers that is very alarming, And I must have to tell you that before now, if you get to Ndukwenu or Awa to buy a plot of land, somebody may be telling you to bring 400,000 for a plot of land. But go there today to buy a plot of land after this road that moved from Amansi to Ndukwenu to Awa has exposed everywhere. If you go there now, what you'll be hearing is millions. And as those roads are finding their ways into the interior, that is the same way the real estate developers are also going into those hinterlands to buy large chunk of land for development of estates. And that's how individual houses expand. So that is the point I want to raise here. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Just before we entertain calls and, of course, get people's reactions on social media, we'd like to also hear from the Commissioner for Information. And what we want to know is the specific strategies that the Ministry of Information are implementing to effectively disseminate information about the activities of the Ministry of Housing, especially the legacy projects of the Soludo administration.
Yeah, thank you. asked the commissioner the program on now. It's certainly one of the strategies and designed to bring the commissioners and the heads of agencies to come and answer their papa name. Let them come and tell the Anambra what they have been doing. Because Nigeria practices what they call a presidential democracy. In a presidential democracy at the state level, is the governor and the deputy that are elected into the executive arm of the three arms of government. And then the governor brings together people to help him execute his projects, visions, and so on and so forth. That is why you have commissioners. So we have my brother commissioner here doing justice, explaining why his ministry is one of the star ministries of the Soludo administration. And more importantly, one thing I can take away from his explanations here is he has fully explained to us why we say in Anambra today that solution is here. There is indeed a solution here, and in the area of housing, it's so obvious. Very many legacy projects are springing up. He has touched a number of them, but I tell you that he hasn't scratched even the surface of what the government has done in the area of housing development. One thing I want to say is that we have a peculiar problem about housing. Certainly, you don't have enough houses, and he has said that it's not necessarily the duty of the state government to build houses for everyone. That it is a policy that the government would make and provide what we call enabling environment so that you can have access. A week ago, the solution governor, Professor Soludo, launched what we call Anambra Geographic Information Service. It is to make access to land and processing, authentication, and the verification of land titles easy. In the Anambra, they need to know about that. In fact, there is need now to recertify so as to get into the new database. That way, you will know that the titles you are holding are indeed yours. And when they are encroached upon, it can easily be spotted and stopped, because one who wants to buy a land that is certified can be clarified when they get to Anamjis. This is very important. And for me also, you know, the Honorable Commissioner of Housing touched it. He talked about Anambra becoming an erosion reading state in Nigeria. In fact, the governor once said that Anambra has become or is becoming the erosion capital of Nigeria. Almost every town in Anambra State has one erosion challenge or the other, everywhere you go. And what that means is that even the little land space we have, we are losing to erosion. And I reckon from analysis one has seen from informed quarters that Anambra may have lost up to 20% of its land space to erosion. Now, since much of this erosion is man-made, right? For example, when we build indiscriminately, you build on erosion channels where water would pass, you build there. People build their houses and extend to the road, to where the gutters ought to be. Drainage systems are covered and extended by people who are building and trying to make their compounds or premises as large as possible. Well, you see, roads, standard roads, like the solution government is building, standard roads have what we call setbacks. And the setbacks, it means the standard gap you have to give between your fence and the road itself, which belongs to all. The Anambra ought to know that they need to find, in fact, beginning with even approval, you have to do before you start construction. Many of us don't do this. You just start building. Every house that is being constructed in this day and time, no matter how private such a houses are, there ought to be a kind of approval, the plan and everything. He talked about taking pains to ensure that the space occupied by the building itself should not be more than 65%. How many of us know this? These things, they need to be really emphasized. And in the Anambra, whoever wants to build a house, getting approval for such building, so that in doing so, you will know what you ought to do. So that at the end of the day, he talked about holding places for water, when they run off water. You should be right inside the compound itself. When you do that, the runoff water, the storm water will not be exacerbated by the one that is coming from your own building onto the roads. And every person is channeling his runoff water to the road, and that is increasing flooding, increasing the impacts of erosion in Anambra. So our people need to really help the Ministry of Housing, and by so doing, they will help the government's efforts in containing erosion, because erosion is, in fact, is becoming more and more intractable, and eating so deep into the coffers of government. The money that would be used to construct roads are now being channeled to gully and other forms of erosion controls. And since it is preventable, all we need from the people is cooperation. And that is what I understand the Honorable Commissioner to be saying. So we keep looking up to collaboration with not only ABS, but with others to continue to enlighten our people on what government is doing, the solution government is doing. When we talk about that solution is here, is because Soludo has been so intentional about his projects, his programs, and very inclusive. Yes. Very, very inclusive. He is building for the future. Not only dealing with the present challenges, but also constructing an Anambra that will meet the demands of the 21st century. I think I'll leave it here because the hot seat belongs to my brother Commissioner. Please answer your papa name.
All right, at this point, we welcome reactions from the public.
Thank you.
If they have questions or contributions to make, remember we are looking at the Ministry of Housing and the achievements of the Housing Ministry under Governor Soludo, including the Legacy Housing Project. Okay, remember that the conversation is live on Facebook, Anambra Broadcasting Service. You can join the conversation on Facebook or as well call the studio line to 0904-956-0826, 0904-956-0826.
Mobi na 0706-538-1320, 0706-538-1320. Dịka ị na-akpa nchetakwa na anyị nwere iwu ị ga-agbatịnete volume redio gị egwu anya fa gị na ebe isi akpọ kwuo okwu ozugbo na-egbughị oge maka na ndị ọzọ ga na-akpọkwazi okwu iji wee jụọ ajụjụ.
All right, this is still Ask the Commissioner, and as we await reactions from the listening public, I guess we'll have to come back to, okay, somebody's here. Hello?
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 Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm calling from Oka.
What's your name?
My name is Chris Oyediki.
Waganiru.
Hello? Because even Maka APS. Because APS, what they are doing, have I'm not trying to talk about it. If I mean, they have the news. Nothing. 6 a.m. news, 6:30 a.m. news. You could tell me, I don't know. We want them to respect and like the news. 6 a.m. this week, 9 a.m. Even news, 3:30, 6, 6:30 evening, and the weekend. And news commentary. Make sure that you know the weekend, now that they news. They need to breaking news. And then you are minister in Mr. Commission. They should respond. We have to Miami. Election will be done. And the other government program. Comprehensive news. 5 minutes, they need to go comprehensive news. And no matter Anambra news, I want to make that for. I want to go to the same country for what they indicated. Only 2 people, for instance, in Ghana hello?
We're hearing you.
Good afternoon. To the man, I'm going to the essence of communication is for the people and that's what I tell you. So that I'm going to teaching English, using English. Kindly what they're saying on government program. It's not a news. It's after 6:30 the name is Radio Nigeria. 7 a.m. news, 4 p.m. news, 10:30. And then can news after 6:30 a.m. If you store here now, and you know the problem with it. It's not broken 1 minute. Let us start time out the 1 minute. 6:30 a.m. 9 a.m. you go news. Very important, 9 a.m. you go news. On the weekend. And the news commenter. In Nanya, I see a radio from other now. People are not going to comment. In the program, that's the mineral.
Okay, man. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you very much, man. We've taken notes of your complaints. The commissioner is here as well. Thank you very much. We've taken notes of your complaints.
Yeah.
And,
thank you for your observations, and corrections will be effected.
Okay. All right, it still asks the commissioner, and the commissioner for housing is here. He's the one on the hot seat, but it's good that we receive feedback. You know, feedbacks paves the way for improvement. So we thank you for your feedback. But meanwhile, if you have questions for someone else there? If you have questions for Mr. Commissioner, he's here. Upwa na ejiwa ihe gbasara housing wekwe nke anyị ma akakwa mma na ejuru onye nọ n'isi housing na ọ bụrụ ọkwa emecha na ejiwa anyị Priska gede ebe legacy housing project nke a dị mụ ama akwa ejikwa ya commissioner now. That is why it's asked the commissioner. Okay, once more you can call 0904 956 0826 0904 956 0826. Hello.
Okay.
Hello, heartbeat of the
Champions.
Commissioner.
Manaya magwenye ke.
I am not going to happy. I do happy.
Commissioner. What are you doing? Now, I can move on with your number. I'm not going to go. Look at you, in Anambra, I don't want. And because of an room, the market, it's no, well, no, other way to Ghana. If you were very good, if you just share it, I'm happy about so we want to now. So when they do, they didn't buy that, which you have drive. And then you are for. Yes, we are going to go down there. Indiana, I got what you are for having a very heavy plan. Come on, we are waiting on one, and we are all over the when you were down, I don't know where they are. I don't know if it's also a good people who are considering or can you read your room? So I can now go maybe I'm waiting on a studio today. Maybe I'm not too old, you know, I can remember how many I'm more.
Okay, let me answer this. Okay, briefly, I'll come my book when you book and Zion, when you book Oku. Because I'm my brother. If I was salo CO4, but the Ministry of Lands, now for my care, over Ministry of Housing, and C of O, Obo na Oga Ebata, na a na-anọ 4 years into ụfọdụ na-anọ 4 to 6 years before ha enweta C4. Kịtazi in a matter of a week too, enweta your C4.
3 days.
With even the newly launched Anambra, a matter of 72 hours, enweta C4. So nke anwa adịgo on that. Then building permit and approval. Ọ bụrụ ndị Ministry of Housing na-afụ maka ya. Ndị na-afụ maka ya ndị a na-akpọ ndị fiscal planning. Ma ọ bụrụ na ọ dịrọ n'Awka Capital Territory. Mana ọ bụrụ na ebe na-alụ nọdụ within Awka Capital Territory, ndị na-afụ maka ya ndị Awka Capital Territory Development Authority. So ọ etu o si wee dị. Mana anụ m ife ikwuru mma agwa ndị otu m ndị nọ n'isi ebe ndị anwa ka ha malụ na ọ nwere rịpọtụ ịnyalụ. Aha, ọ bụrụ ihe m ga-ekwu maka that one. Mana ịmakwa na rịpọtụ a ọ na-awụ ọtụtụ oge enyechakwa anya eje mee investigation achọpụta na ọ gara na ọ bụrụ ya etu anwa ife nwa si ada n'ọnụ ka o si atọ so ọ bụrụ ya ngwanụ.
Ọ dị mma tupu oke nwee naba m. Onye ni ya?
Honorable Commissioner, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother. You're welcome.
Good afternoon to everybody. The guy can accept. I am going to be fine. Ana m ege ife unu na-ekwu na nke bụ eziokwu na asịrat na ibe eji n'aka anaghị eji usoro enene ya na gọvanọ anyị na-atara ahụ niile na-atara ekwanụ gba anyị na-aga ịtakwanụ ka o si aga na kọmputa anyị nwa na-emetara afọ na-afọgasị afọ. Mana biko na obodo ebe m si mụ na gọvanọ nwụkwanụ nwanne mana gọvanọ nwebere ife o mere anyị amara m ọ na-aga egwuru ihe egwuru n'arịa ọ bụgodo ofe ibe ya bịa lụọla anyị eti m n'ezinifte agụ ata akpọ
Ezinifte agụ ata
ezinifte agụ ata ọ na ya na-abụ agbata obi ada anyị nwere one hospital emego hospital abandon kemgbe aha ya bụ Ajam hospital ọ bụ teaching hospital a very long time mgbe m pere mpe ka dasị nkwụsịrị na function and is a government project. Biko na gọvanọ anyị is a good man, ama m onye ọrụ is a very nice man, mana biko anyị ka anyị na-arịọ ọ bụrụgodo ofu ife ọbịa meela anyị ka anyị kenekwuo ya na anyị na-ekenebe ekene. No, Honorable Commissioner, please extend my message to him.
Thank you. Okay, ka m tinye ọnụ n'ife ejo mbụ maka road. Eziokwu abụrụ Commissioner for Works. No Commissioner for Works na-afụ maka road. Mana ife mma agwa maka road bụ na ịma gọọmenti a anyị na-alụkọ ya ọnụ. O nwere ife ịkpọrọ Commissioner ọbụla ka o kwuo maka ọma okwu maka ya ọfụma. Maka na anyị na-ejekọ esko ọnụ na-atụkọ alụ ọnụ na-alụ with our governor. So ihe mma agwa maka nke road a bụ na o nwere ka gọvanọ si eme ife road. Maka gọvanọ ga-agwa gị sị gị na ọ bụrụ na ejegoro wota ego niile Anambra steeti nwere wee je tinye n'elu ilo nọ n'ofu lokal gọọmenti na ọma ntụtadị ya mbọ ọma ntụtadị elu ilo nọ na ofu lokal gọọmenti mbọ. So na ife a na-eme bụ enyetụ ndị ebe a enyetụkwa ndị ebe a iluo na-agụ ata bụ na ahụ ị na-ekwu n'ezinifte ahụ ihe ilu ebe ahụ efu na enwego so many roads alụrụ ebe dị iche iche efukwuru ma duo akara eji na-aga tụrụ ekwuru ọbịa wee na-aba Imo steeti ma ndị ọzọ niile a na-alụ ebe niile ilu ebe a na-ekwuru ọbịa ebe a na nka ebe a na ebe niile a na-alụ gbodo ilo andị ka gọvanọ si ewu ilo bụ onye anya ọfụ ilo ndị trafik ka dị na eri nne nke ndị mmadụ ka agari nne maka nke ka ya abalụ ndị mmadụ ọtụtụ ulu ino maka nwere ilo nwere ike je nọdụ n'ofu ime obodo ọ bụrụ naanị mkpụrụ mmadụ one ma one na-aga na ya ijezi ejelugodo nke anwa ma rapụ nke ọtụtụ na-aga ịpụtazi ma na ndị mmadụ ga na-asọfa including living gị nwa na kpọrọ kọla because ị ga-esikwa na nke anwa a na-ekwu maka ya fụkịta ndị mmadụ na-agari nne wee na-aga iluzi ọbụla alụrụ alụ ịtọ so nọ etu a ka o si ewere ilo o wogide chukwu eme ebere ofu ụbọchị oluzie na nke anyị na-ekwu maka ka ekịta na olugo na dị na alụsịgo ndị niile ndị mmadụ ka aga rinne karịa anyanwa oluzie na grupu ndị nke anwa alụ anya anyị onwere mụ na ọ ga-abụ echi maka gọvanọ mmekọta ya ofe n'izie dị ọzi ngwa based on etu esi wee mee appropriation na budget ngwa ndị a niile nọ ka esi etu a na-ewerusokwa ya na-eme ana efukwa bịa lụọ anya maka appropriate alụọ ịma ka esi eme ihe gọọmenti so ọ bụrụ ihe dị de so enwe na nwute maka nke ilo na ọ ga-elute unu then ọzọkwasị bụ nke hospital amara m dị nature of hospital or yes teaching hospital na-abụ na-ada title university or yeah ọ bụrụ na ọma bụ teaching hospital maka yes not teaching hospital anyị amara na university nọ na bon so something like that mana ama o nwere ike ọ bụ na maybe a general hospital even a primary health center something like that all you elutu ya na etu anyị si alụ alụpụ ndị a alụwakwa ndị a alụpụ ndị a alụkwa ndị a so enwe na nwute
enye ndị ebe
Mr. Commissioner, achọrọ m iji ofiche wee tụgbu unu na abụọ because time anyị adọzi ife m na-achọ iju bụ kedu ka ụlọ ministry unu si wee na-enye aka n'ikewapụta ọlụ nakwa zuto akụnụba Anambra steeti then secondly kedu ka gọọmenti si wee na-adres this land tenure and land ownership challenges a na-enwe iji wee nye aka wee facilitate ya bụ housing development in Anambra State.
Briefly, please, our time is up.
When you talk about land tenure and ownership, I will tell you that we've done wonderfully well to solve the problems that are embedded in such tenure system.
Okay.
I'll give it to a commissioner for lands. Okay. Because he has used, several approaches that are actually not, having tussles in court with landowners and to, help to bring out a lot of land for acquisition of government for the public purposes. And that is why we have places today that we can cite one thing or the other that will benefit the public. So that one is serving very well. So I give it to him. And when you talk about my ministry creating job, of course you on your own. If I tell you the quantum of job created only in the government house and lodge project, if I tell you the quantum of job created in the Judges Quarters Onitsha, in the general hospitals here and there, in so many places jobs are created, so that one is not in doubt, and then talking about the aspect of economic impact, of course that such helps a lot, and where you see most of them is in what I told you already in our PPP arrangement and in our collaboration with Redan, to see that we decrease the aspect of house need in the state, so that by making sure that a lot of houses are being built, so to say, and it's going on here and there, by private sectors per se, private sectors.
Right. Okay, this is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Ask the Commissioner. Everything that has a beginning definitely must have an end, and this is it for us. So we'd like to thank the Honorable Commissioner for Housing, Mr. Paulie Onyeka, for coming on the program today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank you once more, listeners and viewers. I think this is also a television.
Yes.
Sure. You're
Thank
right.
you. Yeah.
ọ dị mma na-ekenekwazi onye nke nwanya bụ ihe mmemme Ask the Commissioner bụ High Chief Dr. Lawmefo PhD. Ọ bụ kọmishọna na-afụ maka ozi na Anambra State. Abụ na-asị nnọọ maka isonyere anyị na mmemme a tata.
Nadalo, ndị be anyị ekenekwa m unu. If you see something, say something. Call 5111 5111. You may be earn something. If the information you give us leads to cracking of a kidnap gang or something like that, you can earn as much as 5 million naira.
Wow.
Anambra, ajụbago oyi Igbo ga-achị.
Indeed. All right, I am Priska. We'll see you next time.
Abụ m onye Kachukwu Ugochukwu na-asị ka ọ dịzie.